Hi, everyone, and welcome to Social 5 University. We've got a nice little webinar for you today. It's going to be kind of short. It's just very basic, and I hope it's helpful to you guys to understand what we talk about when we talk about SEO. You know, that's a term that gets thrown around a lot, and you hear us use it all the time. And a lot of companies pay a lot of money for SEO help. But these are some simple things that you can do to enhance the SEO on your page. And of course, if you need help with that, we here at Social 5 offer some packages and things like that that you can do too. But these are things that you can do on your own that will really help boost your SEO. So let's just go on a quick overview of what we're going to be talking about today. So first off, we're going to talk about some of the key terms that we use when we talk about SEO. It can be really confusing because it does have its kind of its own language and own set of data that we use and throw around a lot. And it can be a little overwhelming if it's something that you're not familiar with. We're going to talk about the different types of results that you see in a search. We're going to talk about things you can do on your site to optimize it and things you can do off your site to optimize it. So let's start off by talking about why do we need SEO? And really what it comes down to is it's all about these little dudes. They're these search engine spiders that crawl around the web looking for search results. And basically your website is searchable by these, and they crawl around looking for key terms, metadata, and things like that, and they influence your search ranking. Now, some of you have heard me say this before, but so I come from a library background. And so I like to think of the internet as a great big library. And your website is like a book in that library. And what I want you to think about is, you know, every time you go to the library, you see every book has that little Dewey Decimal barcode on the side that tells you where it belongs, right? Well, part of the problem is if you don't have these keywords and the metadata and things like that on your website, that's like a book in the library that's laying out there. It's ready for anybody who wants to take it. But when we look it up in the card catalog, we can't find it, right? So does it do any good if no one can find it and no one can read it, right? Unless someone happens to stumble upon it in the giant stack of books that are in the library when there's hundreds of thousands of other options, they're not going to be able to find it. So that's kind of how I like to think of SEO, is that it's putting that little barcode label on the side of that, on the outside spine of that book, which is your website, so that people can find your website amongst all the other websites that are out there. Okay, so that's my favorite analogy. Obviously, you probably have some that you like too, but that always helps me as a way to think of it and what I'm trying to do here. We're trying to find it in the card catalog, right? So let's talk about a couple of key terms really quick. First one's SEO. You know, we throw that around a lot as an acronym, but we don't ever usually say what exactly it means. So it's short for search engine optimization, or affecting the visibility of a website or a web page in a search engine's unpaid results. So that unpaid part is really key here. It's also sometimes called organic or natural results. So SEO is going to be the things that you're doing on your page to that aren't paid advertising. Now, that doesn't mean that you aren't paying someone to do SEO for you. A lot of companies pay thousands of dollars a month to have SEO put on their page, but they're not advertising with the search engine to get their results higher. So that's the difference there. Another term we throw around a lot is a keyword. And this is just a word or a phrase that describes the contents of a web page. And they kind of act as a shortcut to sum up the entire page. Again, if we go back to our library analogy, I don't know if you've ever looked on the front page, you know, towards the beginning of the book, you'll see the Library of Congress information there. And it has some classifications as to, you know, what this book is about, and it will tell you what, you know, that's going to be about for the book, and it'll tell you where it needs to be classified. Same idea here with these keywords and with the metadata on your website. This is basically data that describes other data, which is kind of a hard thing to wrap your head around sometimes, right? It seems, I always start to have a little bit of an existential crisis when we start talking about metadata, because it's a little too, it makes me think a little bit too hard and get a little too much navel gazing going on there. But basically, this works behind the scenes on your website to make finding that information easier. So let's take a look at how search results play out. There's basically three main components when you do a search. So up at the very top, you're going to see paid advertising. You can see this is a search we did for auto repair. So the very top one is the auto repair expert, Steve's Automotive Specialist.com. Steve's Automotive Specialist has paid like a pay-per-click campaign, Google AdWords, to be listed there at the top. That's a pay-per-click. So if I click on that result, they're going to have to owe Google, 24 cents or something like that. Usually it's higher than that. It's more probably like 80 cents or something like that every time someone clicks on that ad and converts over to their website. So that is a very effective way to, get at the top of the search results. Problem is, people know that it's an ad, so a lot of people look past that. I know when I do a Google search, I always just kind of ignore the ads at the top. And the other problem is that it costs a lot of money for your business to be in paid advertising. Now, if that's something you're interested in doing, there are options for it. We have some options here at Social 5 that we can usually get that down to around 25, 30 cents a click. So we can help you with that if that's something you're interested in. And it is really effective. A lot of people still click on those ads and they go, great, that's the thing I'm looking for, perfect. So there are pluses and minuses there. The next part down you'll see here in the middle is the local listings. Sorry. So these are based on your geography. Your phone or your computer or whatever is going to see where you're located and is going to point you to businesses that might be near you. So, this is pulling up all the auto repair shops, this was a search done by Jeremiah Stetler, so they're kind of over by his house in West Valley. Oh, it looks like we have a question. Diane, did you have something you wanted to ask? You can go ahead and put that in the Q&A or in the chat connection. I'm so sorry. Are you guys back? Can you see me again? I'm so sorry, guys. All right. Can you hear me again all right? Yeah? Okay, great. Awesome. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. So let's go back to talk about local listings. I'm sorry if I repeat myself a little bit here, but just want to make sure you understand that. So local listings are going to be results based on your location. So this was a screenshot that our own Jeremiah Stetler took a while ago, and he was doing it by his house out in West Valley City, Utah. So it's going to show things that are close to him. Again, very helpful, very useful, a really good place to be if you are interested in doing SEO. Again, it's not always free, right? So, and that's kind of what we're focused on today is the easy and free things that you can do. These local listings, again, you can get listed in those, no problem, but it does sometimes cost money. But again, very helpful because they do pull up when someone is near your area. So if I search ice cream and you're an ice cream shop as I'm walking down the street, you're going to show up in those results. Really helpful. Down here at the bottom is what we want to talk about. These are the organic listings. And this is where your SEO is going to help you be in that first page of results, hopefully, or up at the top of those results. Now, these are the folks who haven't done paid advertising and aren't necessarily in this close by geographic wise for one of these local listings. But these are folks who, the keywords and metadata on their website, the search spiders found that they would be the best fit for the search results you did. So really, these are the real search results, if you want, right? That aren't paid or aren't listed somehow. And that's what we're trying to get into here when we do SEO, is into these organic listings, because we want to try and appear close to the top of the search on a Google search, right? Okay. So let's talk about a couple of little things that you can do to help with these things. There's kind of two options here. You can do things actually on your website, and then the other option is what we call off-site optimization, which is using other websites. So let's talk about on-site optimization here and some of the things you can do. Big thing, make sure your address and your phone number is on your website. That will help in the local listings because if you have your address and phone number listed there, they'll be able to tell that you have a nearby location. One thing that we see a lot that people run into trouble with is that their text will be part of an image. And this is a big problem because if you're using, say you have a graphic that has a really cool, graphic display and everything, and then it has text on top, if it saves as something like a JPEG on your website, the spiders can't find it. They can only search for text. So that's one thing that as you're designing your website or maybe revamping your website, if you need to do that, that's a really key thing to look out for, is to make sure that your text boxes are actually text instead of as an image, because otherwise it won't be found. The other thing that you can do here is you can review your website metadata to make sure that it includes the relevant keywords and that it's up to date. I've got a picture here of what the website metadata looks like, and it is a little confusing sometimes. And that's probably not something that you could just go in and do on your own, but it's something to have, as you're building your website or revamping it or whatever, have the web developer take a look at that. We do offer that as a service if you want, as part of our SEO package. So if that's something that you are interested in doing, that would be included in that. We can go in and our SEO team can help work with that metadata to make sure that it's the best search terms there. But again, something that you can do as you're building your website, make sure that you're reviewing that and that it's up to date. Another thing that is really key here on site optimization is to make sure that you're posting often. If you've got a blog or something like that on your website, that will really help because the spiders like current information. Off-site optimization kind of all falls under the same category, which is having other sites that link to yours. These are also called backlinks, and you'll hear us throw that term around a lot. But this is the simplest and easiest way to increase the SEO off-page. There are tons of options here. So one thing you can do, you can make sure your business has a Wikipedia listing, even if it's short. You can go on to that's the great part about Wikipedia. Anybody can go onto it and create a listing. And you can just create a short little listing about your business. And that way that will show up when pretty highly in the search results. Other thing you can do is make sure you're listed on directories like Google, Dex, Yelp, anything like that. And a lot of those will often feature a link to your website as well. There's usually a spot where you can put in your website and all your contact information. And again, what this is going to do is it helps increase that number of backlinks that link into your website. And part of that is that with these directory listings and everything, the spiders are programmed to search for more recent information. So that's important. But they're, trolling around the web looking for that information and trying to figure out, who's going to be the best fit. And one of the things they're looking for is the number of backlinks you have to your site. So if a site has, only 10 sites linking in or something, that doesn't show up as well as if you have 100 sites linking in or something, right? Now that can sound really intimidating, but when you think about it, if you did your Facebook, your Twitter, and your LinkedIn page, and you put your website on all of those, you did some of these directory listings, you built yourself a Wikipedia page, it really starts to add up over time. And again, these are, kind of difficult. They're not difficult, but they just are time-consuming things that you can do. And again, if you're interested in doing something like this and you don't want to do it yourself, we can help you. Let us know and we can help you talk about an SEO package that will help do these things for you. But again, these are just simple things that you can do yourself. You can go out and fix the Yelp listing on your company and have, your contact information in there and stuff. So little things like that are going to make a really big difference in this SEO world. So with that in mind, again, I know that was kind of quick and fast. SEO tends to be one of those things that if we can either talk very simply about it and very quickly it goes into this like crazy level of detail that gets a little confusing and overwhelming. So we wanted to keep it pretty basic for you today. But I wanted to open it up for any questions. Does anybody have anything they want to ask? Any more information they want? Go ahead and pop those into either chat or Q&A if you've got some. And again, I hope this was helpful to you just to even understand what we're talking about when we talk about SEO. I know it can be a little overwhelming sometimes, and we start talking about these weird, complex concepts that can be a little weird, but hopefully now that helps you understand it a little bit. I really do like that library analogy of that you're just trying to make it so that your website can be found. That's really what it comes down to in the basis, because you know, all these results show that, you know, I don't know if you guys have done a Google search recently and looked at how many results come up for whatever you're searching, but there's like hundreds and hundreds sometimes of pages of results. And so you want to be towards the top, because most people don't go beyond, you know, the first couple pages. So one question here is, how do you get yourself added to the different directories? And that is a kind of a complex question. It depends on the directory. A lot of them, like something like Dex or something, they have a lot of, you know, that's like the phone book or whatever, you have to pay for. Others, something like Yelp or something like that, you can create a listing. They do accept advertising dollars to be ranked higher or things like that. So it can be a little difficult that way once you start to get in kind of more into the details of some of them. Some of the easier low-hanging fruit is not so hard. We do have a directory service that we offer that gets you listed in more than like 100 directories. And that's kind of one of those things that I don't totally understand how it works, because our SEO guys have explained it to me a couple of times, and I start to get a little inkling of how it works. But they really know what they're doing, and they know how to get those directories listed. And they include things like, you know, not just Yelp and Bing and Google, but also things like Siri for your phone, and the car navigation system that you're using, and, you know, all these other things. There are literally hundreds of these directories out there that you would need, that you can be listed in, and that will help. I'm not sure I understand this question that you have here, Dan. We might need to follow up with that later. Any other questions? All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and, oh, we have one more. Okay. Awesome. We're good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and end this session. We're going to be talking about social search optimization here at 11 o'clock. So if that's something you guys are interested in, this is kind of the same principle, just really simple, free, easy things that you can do on your page that will help you increase your social search optimization so that your social channels will show up higher in a Google search. So hopefully you guys can attend then. We'll see you then. If not, feel free to watch the recording later. And I hope this was helpful to you guys. We'll see you soon.